I saw two things. The first thing I saw was um, I actually saw a baseball game, and I think it's actually the season for baseball. No, am I wrong? Nope, just kidding. But I was noticing that it's a seasonal game. It's once a year, a certain season. Anyway, I saw a person coming up to where the batter would stand, and I didn't see them hit the ball, but I saw them run, and they were running with like great speed around these bases. And then I could see kind of the outfielders kind of running around a little bit, but I couldn't see that they were doing anything significant out there. But anyway, so this particular runner was rounding the bases with quite great speed around first, second, and third. And as he was coming home, I saw him running, and he had a football in his hand. He had the wrong item for the wrong game. He was carrying the wrong ball for this game. And so when he got to home base, and he was about to be really excited about what he had accomplished, but he looked in his hands and realized there was the wrong ball in his hands, and he kind of threw it down in frustration and anguish, and just sort of couldn't believe that he had done this. Like, I can't believe that I had the wrong ball all along, and it didn't, it didn't make any difference. It didn't help. I didn't do any of that. Anyway, and at this point, somebody hands him a bat, and the bat looks like it had been like, I guess like drilled into, or I don't know the right wording for it, but it had been like chiseled out. So there was like, the stuff that comes off of wood. Why can't my brain work? What is it?
Chips.
Not bark. Wood chips are like, what is sawdust? Sawdust.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he kind of like moves it away, and you can see that like an ancient language has been detailed on this bat. And after he kind of moves away the sawdust, the bat is full of this language. And at this point, the bat turns invisible. And so in a sense, he feels prepared to step up to the plate with his bat, but he steps up to the plate with his invisible bat, and he hits it, and the ball just goes straight up into the air and comes back down again. And I think he feels a little bit like, I don't know, defeated, or in a sense, that's not what was supposed to happen with his ball, with his bat. And so when he looked at the bat again, another time, the bat was again clear. It wasn't invisible anymore. It was a clear object that was coming into focus. So it was still a clear spiritual object, but it was now something he could hold on to and see where to grip his hands, and he could see where, to connect the bat to the ball. So everything started to come into focus into the way that it was supposed to be. Except, it was like a gel. It almost looked like a gel, the substance of the bat, but it was obviously just meant to represent something spiritual that could be seen. And so at this point, he steps up to the base, or step up to bat, I think it's called. And he hits the ball, and the ball goes up again, but this time the ball shoots straight out of the atmosphere of Earth, straight outside into the, black of the outer atmosphere, past anything we've ever seen, almost past our solar system, past our Milky Way or whatever.
Oh, wow.
And the ball, as it's leaving Earth's atmosphere and going into the outer atmosphere, it too loses its form and becomes this spiritual ball that's like gel colored, like clear gel. And as it kind of goes out over the atmosphere, it ends out far to where I can't see it anymore. But what that does is produces a pathway. And so as it ends up where it's supposed to be, coming forward sort of back towards Earth, is now this pathway that it looks like the Northern Lights. It's like the Aurora Borealis or whatever it's called. It's that same exact coloring and the way that it moves. This path is in that shape. and it goes back towards Earth, down into Earth. And once it reaches basically through the clouds back onto Earth, its form changes into a rainbow.
Mm.
And that was the end of that one.
Oh, wow.
That was weird.
That was a good one. Yeah. Wow. You understand anything?
Not really. I thought it was interesting that I sort of feel like the Lord is starting to bring about his spiritual kingdom here, and we are going to be able to have it tangibly. So to me, that sort of represented that a little bit, but I'm probably wrong.
No, it's in the bed is also a rod, right? So I was looking at the scripture 40. I was intended for not to read it, but the Lord said, reserve that, don't read it. So, I don't necessarily know it was there. I'm a person not really know where scriptures are, all the time. So I remember certain things. But this is scripture caught my eyes, the 40th chapter of Isaiah, go back to the same book. Said in 25 said, to whom will you compare me? Or who is my equal? Says the Holy One. Lift your eyes, see, and look to the heavens. Who created all this? He who bring out the starry hosts one by one, calls them each by name, because great power, strength, not one of them is missing. The rod in this case represents the apostolic teaching and apostle ministry, apostle authority, if you will. The player was one son or disciple, supposed to be able to wield that thing, and able to hit the target. But the dusted away means man's understanding or carelessness that is, it's the first is to catch the ball. Catch the ball is running man's way, man's game, right? So, not saying that this is not a man's game, played by man's rules. And we're not the chaser of a man's balls, Rather, we are to be the rod, in a sense, conferring us a kind of authority, power, or headship, if you will. And it meant to be engaged in a greater game that is God's game, God's coursing. It's a covenantal, it's a blessing, it's an ancient way, produce an ancient covenant, the ancient blessing. And a rainbow was a talking God's faithfulness and a blessing. He said to Noah that this will be a forever sign for you. I will not abandon you. I will not harm you. But I will bless you. I will remember you. But it did, with the rainbow, comfort a new people, in a sense. He covenanted with a new kind of people, So not the people with their own ways, but the people of his ways. His plan. So anyway, Nicole, please continue. So.
This one was a little bit confusing to me and probably hard to describe, but I'm going to give it a shot. The very first thing that I saw was, it was almost like a sinkhole. It looked like a sinkhole in a garden. And in the sinkhole was just muddy water. Like there was a large tube or something that was letting in muddy water. And it was filling up the sinkhole. And it worked, this vision worked backwards. So I saw this, and then I saw it kind of dry up. And then the next thing I saw was this, okay, let me try here. Like a huge Grand Canyon sized desert. Like it was huge. And was, I don't want to say a levee because I don't know what a levee is, but it's this item that was carrying water. It reminds me of all these things they would see around Georgetown that I think was like some sort of water for like fires or something. All those water, you know what I'm talking about? What was that called? Some sort of storage, but it wasn't storage because it was free flowing. Like they were called ditches, and in Georgetown they called them like ditches, and then they'd have this water that would kind of flow all the way through town, and I guess it was used for firemen if a fire ever happened. But this particular one was high up in the sky, high above this desert land that fully reminded me of the Grand Canyon. And it was flowing very strongly in a direction, and as it flowed, it went straight for a really long time, and then it dipped down, almost like a waterfall, but not really, because it was still in this thing that was holding it. And I just followed the water. My sight was to follow the water, and as I followed the water, it went into this dark tunnel. And when it was in this dark tunnel, the Lord revealed to me that it was a highway, that this water was a highway, and I don't know. The weird part is, as I saw the sinkhole of water with that like tube pouring out the muddy water, on the other side of it were two men that were natives. They were native, and I've seen natives before, but they were stretching out a filter, but it was backwards because they were filtering. Usually you filter out gross things. But they had this filter, and all the mud was getting through. So I don't know what they were filtering out, because there was nothing stuck on the filter. The clean water was like going in and coming out dirty. And so anyway, these natives, they broke the filter. They pulled it apart on purpose. And then I can't see. I think the water ran clear after that, but I can't tell. I don't know if the vision is unfinished or what, but these two things somehow connect, but I can't see exactly how. I didn't see that part.
That's crazy. Marguerite, I'm talking to you, and I hope this is not too personal. I think you guys all know, our journey a little bit. God ordained, carry signs, wonders. So remember we talking about Church under the Bridge is under the bridge under I-35. When moved, God told me to touch I-35, no one way, speaking. So anyway, senior and junior, they started the military. The whole military actually, in a sense, it's interesting, it's about downtown Austin, I-35 on the bridge. That's where the military is. It's one of in certain people prophetic gift to try to mark as gates or whatever. I don't know exactly to remember. Some who used the fellowship, said that one of the gates for Texas, basically. So it rightfully so. It's the center of the capital. A bridge. Anyway. That being said, so when I left on my journey with bread, and God sent somebody tell us to go to, from Texas to California, go to see Grand Canyon, which we did. On the Grand Canyon, that's when I saw the sign of a cross, a cloud, which is back the early days when I met the Lord. God sent that sign in Austin for me to believe Him, so something that nature. So on I-40, I think is a higher 40. I don't know exactly. I think it's I-40. Exactly, we visited Grand Canyon. That's the way. Either prior or after, I don't quite remember. No, prior. I saw the sign, and then the cross is in the northwest. In that point is in the northwest still. So there are other things. Then when I saw the sign, you have the route sign, you have a 444, then the clock is a 444. And a lot of times other things going. I can't recall the details. Someday, I hope I have photograph memory. I don't. So anyway, the Lord said, in the days to come, I'm gonna link 35 and 40. I said, impossible. I-40 is here, nothing to do with I-35. And so the Lord said, no, it's Isaiah 35, Isaiah 40. And when you link it together, you will be in the place where the cloud is, as I'm going to fulfill that. So, is a bigger searching because, seeing this in the cloud in the end of the horizon on the sky, you don't know where it exactly lays. I remember through those questions and journeying in California back down, John, is that, we figured out that God wants to lead us to 101, right? So we have no idea why we're going to lead us where we are today. So that's the interesting, a little bit personal. Okay, my name is literally a flood. And the canyon with the dam in Hoover Dam, that's where I saw another vision. The Lord shall release a flood. I know it's a little bit, only personal experiences, but I hope we don't presumptuously speaking through things. Those things spiritual revealed to me is that we're much in reality. God is bringing to pass in many ways. It's a surprising, how He bring to pass. One of the big lessons I learned, humility, and sometimes comical even. So think about it. Is my own set imagination and God going to fulfill His word? With what kind of people, what are going to do? One whole things like that in nature. I think God is going to do it maybe through things we are doing. New Stream Studio, community setting, family culture, children's education, teaching and restore God's apostolic order, or God's politician, the misses of people. Be a base camp for His great revival to the nations. We can speak of those things. They are so rejuvenated and continue being misused, sometimes misapplied totally. But I hope for us, we'll know those things God is doing. God is doing. And we're looking forward. I'm telling you, the younger generation going to be a mighty force for the work of the Lord in the face of the earth. I look forward to that. I look forward for, yes, teaching. Elijah said, "Hey, you're gonna be a teacher, huh? You're gonna be a preacher." So, anyway.